at Scroby Sands off the coast of Norfolk. It's said that the United Kingdom has the best wind resources in Europe. And this tidal wave affair can, of course, also be highly destructive. For most of us, most of the time, the wind is an invisible, almost mundane presence in our lives. You wouldn't think that it can redraw the very shape of our country, but it can. And why am I so sure? Because not so long ago, out there were houses. This is the village of Happisburgh in the northeast corner of Norfolk. It won't be here for much longer. This coastline is shifting faster than anywhere else in Britain. The wind and the waves are eating it away at the rate of 40 foot a year. In a matter of months, this house will have fallen into the sea. Mike Page is Norfolk born and bred, and he's watched this village steadily crumble away. This feels like a very solid English seaside lane. We've got some pretty solid-looking brick-built houses. What are these houses worth, would you say?
I would say at the moment, very little, very, very little.
How much is very little?
Probably £1.
A pound?
A pound, yes. You could buy one probably, I think, for £1.
So, the road finishes pretty abruptly.
It does. The road ran more or less out to the metal stake, which we can just see. There were 15 or 20 properties along there. They've all been lost to the sea.
Mike Page hasn't just watched this story of destruction from the ground. He's also been observing it from the air. In medieval times, much of this land was salt marsh, but it was drained in the 11th century to make farmland. The trouble is, it lies at best just a few feet above sea level. Holding back the wind and the waves has been a never-ending battle, and it's a battle that in places we are now losing. This is Happisburgh here.
This is Happisburgh Village, yeah.
Being above it gives you a perspective of what's really happening.
It's the only way you can see what's happening.
From up here I can see lines of wooden fencing stretching out along a full mile of the shoreline. Mike explains that these are revetments, barriers designed to hold back the force of the sea. But they were first installed back in the 1950s, and the ceaseless battering of the wind and waves has now reduced them to stumps.
You can see the revetments. They're the
lines of
wooden line, yeah.
Right.
Now, all the wooden boards have gone off the front of them, you know, this is the trouble.
I see, so they were a very simple...
Very simple means.
As we buffet on down the shoreline, I'm shown the sheer number of different methods that have been used to try and preserve this one little piece of coast. Thousands of tons of rock have been dropped into the water, kind of homemade protective reefs, except they've only been partially successful.
In actual fact, the first four, as you can see, aren't working. Because they're too far apart, and the sea erodes in between each reef.
I see, yes. Further down the shore, there's yet another coastal defence system, this time a big concrete wall. It's the only thing protecting the farmland behind it, land that here lies below sea level. But like the revetments at Happisburgh, the wall's now more than 50 years old, and the government says it's just too expensive to maintain. ministers are now pursuing a policy of managed retreat. In other words, they're going to let the wall crumble away. 25 square miles of Norfolk could end up underwater.
This is the area that will flood if they let the sea defence.
So those churches, those farms, those woods, all go.
Yeah.